Okay, so my presentation is going to be on the influence of media and television on social perceptions of crime and violence. And my reactions to this was that TV genres have different content that influence various audiences that are either good, bad, and there's also with the mass media, there's it's also a learning strategy for children, and individuals can learn to be criminals with media, YouTube, TV shows, and radio. And what I mean when I say good is that it can have a good impact on people, and what when I say bad, I mean that it can when there's a development of these medias. Um, there's also a slight chance that there can be crimes that can be learned from it, and fear of crime in society. Um, it's a use of ex, it's a use of extra drama to make shows more credible to real life. African American men dominate as violent criminals on TV news, raping and molesting women and children, and murders. And when I mean that African American men dominate as violent criminals, is that they're more targeted because of their history and because they're more portrayed as criminals. And studies have shown that this is a quote from the influence of exposure to depictions of race and crime, and it states researching in the United States reveals persistent racial prejudice amongst whites, particularly regarding the characterization of blacks as violent and aggressive. This means that they're not only depicted in this, but they're also depicted when they're put on TV, when they're put on YouTube videos, when they're put on even in media like Facebook, Instagram. And there's another one that states that uh, according to the construction of the correct mother, there's repeated distortions and omissions, literally, and cinematic portrayals of African Americans are a tradition that revives notions of black pathology, meaning that they're used for to come out in African American movies to be criminals. Social labels in society. Um, I believe that the social labels that are causing for mass media and how they portray it is that there's a lack of knowledge, and it gives more people to feel the need to label um, African American or inferiority in American literature, meaning that there's uh, it gives people the need to label more, to want to watch these videos and learn from them, and it causes for more crime, more deviance when it comes to in reality. Because if someone watches a video over and over and over again, it becomes sort of like a memory, and then they want to fulfill it over and over again. And there's also the labeling where someone can put in TV about stereotyping African American men, Asians, Hispanics, and it people learn from it and they want to spread the word. And this is how the social labels keep on getting bigger, and they want to because they're becoming more known because of the variety of now communications that there is with with TV programs, and like I said, Facebook, Instagram. These are all ways that labels can be traced, and they can be thrown out there, and people learn from them. And important ideas and concepts is that African American men dominate as violent criminals on TV, and this is according to the reading of the influence of the exposure of depictions of race and crime. And like I said, African American men are most targeted to be the criminals instead of being the good guys. There's also police reality shows that exaggerate violent crimes and arrest rates more than TV dramas or news content. This is because they're trying to, in a way, spread awareness that there is crime, but by showing it creates a it makes it more credible. Um, for example, there's Cops and Life PD, and a quote that I got from the text of the relativity of of deviance is that Atkins learns of Kev- Kevorkian in 1989, and she even saw him explain his procedure for assisted suicide on a national TV. This makes a big statement because um, when she says she even saw him explain his procedure, it really emphasizes on the fact that people do learn from watching TV and from watching videos or anything. And if they see it on TV, they'll think, if they can do it, I can do it as well. And this is how crime is learned, from watching any type of mass media. Theoretical perspectives. The the theoretical perspective that I think is most relevant is the differential association theory, where individuals learn deviant behavior from those close to them, who provide models of and opportunities of deviance. This is I found it that it was the most connected because um, it's not that they're close, but they can learn from how, if they're listening to the TV, if they're watching it. I feel like it's learned and not I feel like it's learned. Um, and things that they can learn is learning to cause conflict, rob, kill, rape, molest. These are just some examples that they can learn from watching or listening to any mass media. And this concludes my presentation.